thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
I may not be a millionaire. I may not have a brand new Frigidaire. My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new. But there is joy in my house. Welcome, everybody, to Joy in My House. My name is Joel Ramirez, and I am the host of this inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. I'm extremely grateful to be here today and to be a part of a show like this. This show is where I get to give back what was so freely given to me. A safe place to go where I can grow spiritually and emotionally and be healthy. Join me on a journey to inspire and to fill people with hope, where we will invite special guests with amazing stories and life-changing decisions, with impact so great you won't want to miss. You can find us on Facebook, /Joy in My House, or click the like button and become a fan where you will receive special updates and lineups for special guests and info. Follow us on twitter.com /Joy in My House, or just hit us up directly on twitter.com /LA Talk Live. Feel free to call into the station as well. The line is 323-247-7443 with comments and questions, or send us a tweet. This is a reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid and no one is insignificant who says it. We welcome callers and we welcome your tweets. Our goal is to feature those who are fellow travelers on the road to recovery, leaders in the body of Christ for inspiration, musical artists, and businessmen and women who have kept their convictions in a world where many have not. Care and support is just a phone call away. So we welcome you to the premiere of our show, Joy in My House. We aim to provide encouragement and to inspire people from all walks of life to be transparent and to seek help for pain and suffering. God wants us all to experience joy and peace and to become men and women with integrity and sound character. Outside pursuits cannot provide lasting fulfillment, but faith in God and support from one another, peace and fulfillment, hope and direction is possible. We're not professional therapists or counselors, just lay brothers and sisters who wish to extend a listening ear and comfort. We will not offer advice or any course of action, but we will share our experience and hopefully learn from yours. This is Joy in My House, every Sunday at noon on LA Talk Live. Now, this show was inspired by a special friend who is my first guest on the show. Let me tell you a story on how I met her. I'm a martial arts instructor, or was a martial arts instructor by trade. I started teaching out of my home in Fullerton, California. I hadn't been working for some time, and my kids had come of age, my two children, ready to partake in the gift that I was given in this martial art. So I started teaching out of my home. I invited my two younger kids, neighbors, to come and become a part of this martial arts program. After a while, it was time for them to test for their next belt. So I had invited them and sent a flyer out to their homes to invite their friends, family members, and neighbors. Well, they took the neighbor part literally. They went next door and invited a family in Fullerton, which had a guest visiting from Long Beach, California. If you know Long Beach and Fullerton, they're very far apart. Well, this young lady was looking for a martial arts program for her son. So they attended the testing examination and were very impressed. Signed up her son on the spot. So I taught her son for a couple of years. After the couple of years, one day I walked out of my home, and I told her, today class is canceled. I'm gonna have to. I just can't do it today. She said, "What's wrong? I drive from Long Beach, California, all the way to Orange County. What's the problem?" And I go, "I just broke up with my girlfriend of 10 years. I have 2 children with her. I have another young lady who's pregnant, another child on the way." She said, "Sit down. I deal with people in dysfunctional relationships." I thought I was put there to mentor her son, but she was put there to teach me how to be a son of God. This person has been a spiritual counselor, a mentor to me, and has guided me through difficult times. She is my first guest on the show. Her name is Lolita Robinson. I am currently Thank you for that. I am currently the president and founder of JHR Management, a management company designed to assist and direct musical artists, authors, thespian actors to reach their true potential through their talents and gifts. Through Network Associates, we're able to open the doors that are needed for exposure and to give them the proper engagements for their success. You can visit that at jhrmanagement.com. And I could not have been able to have said that if it were not for the work that Jesus Christ has done in my life. And thanks to this young lady, I met Christ. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on my special guest, Lolita Robinson.
Hi, Joel. How are you?
Good, how are you?
So glad to be here.
I'm excited to have you here today.
Very glad to be here. I had to pull up here and join in. Hey, that was some pretty good talking. You look like a news commentator.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited for you to come on the show, Lolita.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a while now.
Yeah, we have.
And it's been a rough road. It hasn't been easy.
No, it has not been.
But there's been a lot of joy in my house.
Yeah.
A lot of joy in my house.
Well, you were going to tell me what it means to you before I go into what joy in my house means to me and how I wrote it.
Well, for me, like I was saying, joy in my house to me is no matter what is going on in my world, no matter how chaotic my world is, no matter if that interview didn't go well or my daughter got sick or the car broke down, I have a lot of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that peace, I'm able to go to bed at night. I don't toss and turn like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And the little things are so joyful as well. My daughter comes and just hugs me and tells me, "Oh, I love you, Daddy." Even though sometimes I'm thinking, "Oh, what am I going to feed her?" Or I have to take her to go get something to eat. Or does she have, new clothes? No, when she comes and she just lays on my lap and tells me, "Daddy, I love you." Or my older daughter says, I just hit a home run in softball. Wow. I'm able to accept that joy.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think before, I've been sober 5 years now. I gave my life to Christ and it was a process, but I've been sober 5 years. And through that sobriety, I had to find something even deeper than just being sober. I had to find what I believe is recovery.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
through a program out of Saddleback Church called Celebrate Recovery that I joined, it has given me a lot of peace. I met a young lady, and you know her, Kathy Taylor.
Yeah, good lady.
Kathy
She's going to come
Taylor.
on.
Yeah, she'll be on November 25th. I went to sell her on you. I went to go sell her and tell her, this woman's great. You need to have her in your events. You need to speak to her. You need to meet her.
Mm-hmm.
She has a new album out. She has, a book out. And she said, "Oh, okay. Here, but you need to read this." And she gave me the Celebrate Recovery Bible.
Right, yeah.
And it changed my life. It changed my life. And I think to me, joy in my house means being able to appreciate those happy times. Because I think when people are in chaos or in dysfunctional relationships or lives, they're not able to accept those little moments.
No, they're not. They're not. Absolutely.
Well, Lolita, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and this is totally unexpected. They say that we plan our ways, but God directs our steps. Absolutely. You could not have told me a year ago that I'd be sitting here on a radio show and you hosting it.
Same here. You couldn't have told me. You could have told me on that.
God is good. He's really good. He does what he wants to do. Well, I'm an inspirational speaker in recovery. My passion is for men and women who have come from abuse, who have had sexual trauma or come from alcoholism. But also I like to talk about things where people have had a lot of struggles in their lives and how they've been able to turn it around for God's glory. So I started singing when I was 12. I took professional voice
12
lessons.
years old.
Yeah, from Irvin Windward. He used to be out at UCLA. And I always been kind of shy as a kid. So the way that I was able to relate, I used to write music and play guitar, and
Really?
that's kind of what I used to do as a child all the
That's
time.
interesting.
I
At that young of an
At
age.
that young of an age. Did you always know you wanted to be a martial arts instructor?
Um, I think at a young age, yeah, watching Teenage Mutant Ninja
Oh,
Turtles and ninja movies, yeah, I
I
knew that
know.
I wanted to do that. I wanted
That's
to be
right.
but I think it was more of a validation. I wanted to be a hero. I
Right.
wanted to be something important. And I think as I got older, through my drinking, I wasn't able to get that. And it's a circle and it's a cycle that I just kept doing it more to try and get more validation. I got less. Eventually, you have to stop the cycle and you got to do things different.
Well, were you bullied in school? Is that another reason why maybe your family
No,
put
actually,
you in?
just the opposite. I think I think I was the bully.
Oh,
I
really?
was always trying to prove
Okay.
myself because I'm a little smaller than average, so I think I
Mhm.
always had to prove something, and I was always jumping higher and had to be athletic because I had to prove something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was more I was looking for validation.
Okay.
But I think
Okay.
through God's grace, I think I found that validation. I found that grace that allows me to live in today and not in yesterday or in fear of the future, which I think is very important.
Well, that's interesting. Music for me really was not for validation. I really did it just as an escape. In fact, I've always been one who shied away from performing. I think I
Really?
could have been a lot further ahead had I been more competitive, more. Um, I don't like to assert myself to the degree of competitions and things. So
Hmm.
I sing just to like for comfort for my own self.
I
But God
see.
has opened the doors for me to do things. When I was 18, I went on the road with the New Christy Minstrels, and so from there I got to go to China and do different albums, and
Oh, wow.
I got to meet many different people, and I started doing background singing. I got the to be with Kathy Lee Gifford. I sang background with her and Jose Feliciano.
Wow. And didn't you record an album for Coca-Cola?
Yeah, yeah, we did in Japan. Keep Japan
Wow.
beautiful. Keep
Wow.
Japan beautiful. I'm telling you, with God, it's not boring. It's not boring. But what I did was I had so many emotional things going on in my life. My childhood was there was a lot of trauma in my childhood, and there was drinking in my family and sexual abuse from my mother and from myself. So I sabotaged my career. I did not do what I really wanted to do in life. Every time something good happened, I would sabotage it and do things to tear it down.
So
So
your music was your escape.
it was my escape, but I also didn't want to do it. Anytime anything got too good, whether it was professional or whatever,
Hmm.
I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't step up. I would be late or just not do it. I just didn't feel like I was worthy enough to do it. So, but I'm glad. And looking back, I'm glad that I didn't go as far in secular as I had wanted to do, because I would have been a mess, an absolute mess. What about you?
I just finished saying that too. I was in one of my groups and I was saying I never thought I would say that I don't regret anything. I always thought, oh, I regret this, I regret that.
Mhm.
There's so much regret that I have. I wish I would have done this. I wish I
Mhm.
would have done that. But for the first time, I don't feel regret.
Mhm.
I feel that really God had me go through these trials and these tribulations for a reason.
Right.
And I would not be here in this chair on this show if it wasn't for those trials and tribulations.
That's right. That's
And
right.
and yes, some of those times were really bad, but I'm able to now enjoy not even the big good times, but
Right.
the little good times, the
Right.
little joys. And to me, that's what this whole show is about. Joy in my house. Those little moments when you're able to appreciate something so small in such a big way and have that peace about it. I think that's amazing.
It is
I think
amazing.
that's amazing. Now what are you doing now? Now you're working with
Well,
an
I'm working.
orchestra.
Yeah, I'm working with Jay Sterling Productions, and we do a lot of hotel events. I've had a chance to go to Nashville twice and do some work there for different organizations. So I'm doing that too. But God, in the interim of coming out of secular, I got to raise my kids, which is where joy in my house came from. I left the secular music business. I was
Mm.
with Kathy Lee Gifford now. She's Kathy Lee on the Today Show, and I got married. Both my husband and I were troubled, and the marriage was troubled. But during that time, I'm glad that I raised my sons and I got myself some help for me and for the boys. And during that period of time, my marriage wasn't doing very well, and I started writing a bunch of music. One time, God told me, I can't do anything for you. You don't have any product for me to even promote. So I sat down one time, and all these songs came to me. And one,
Wow.
yeah, Joy in My House is a song that came out of, how can I say it? Externally, there was nothing going on.
Mm.
Nothing at all. I mean, I didn't have any money. My husband and I were separated, and I didn't know what I was gonna do work wise, because all I knew how to do was sing. And so having little boys, I couldn't do club work anymore. But there was this peace that came in the midst of that. There was nothing on the outside that the world would consider successful. That my car was not brand new. I was wearing hand-me-downs. Everything I said, my friends that I knew were going to great places like Cancun. They were doing all kinds of stuff, and I had none of this. But there was this joy. There was this inner peace that came. But I got to tell you, this song now, that I wrote this song 15 years ago, Joy in My House now is being very challenged. It's very challenged because at the time then I thought it was very hard. At the time then, when I was going through struggles with my marriage and raising boys on my own and leaving a career, not knowing what I was doing, plus healing from sexual abuse and trauma in my own life, at least then I was optimistic that the future was going to be bright. And
Well, look at the future now.
it
Now is a theme song.
It
The-
is,
the-
but what I said, it's a challenge because I lost my husband in death. 2 years ago. My youngest brother died a year ago. My mother's just now recuperating a week ago from open heart surgery. I mean, because of the economy, my work is not as forthright as it was. I have a lot more trials, and so I had to think about it today. I thought, my goodness, joy in my house. What does that mean today? What does it mean today?
What does it mean to you today?
It means today that I'm really, really having to realize that outside pursuits cannot bring us peace. And that's why hopefully the people that come on the show that have had their own trauma and have had ups and downs in business and ups and downs in their career will realize that, outside circumstances change. People come and go, people die, marriages don't work. But when you find that place, that inner place of where you're rooted and grounded in the Lord, you can have peace. And so it's been challenged.
That's
The last
powerful.
couple of weeks, it's been really challenged. And I had to think,
But that's really good.
how about you? I'm sure it hasn't been all.
It hasn't been all roses, but
No.
but like you said, you get to a certain place where you have that peace, that inner
Yeah.
peace and that joy where it doesn't matter if your car breaks down. It doesn't matter if you don't have a cent in your pocket.
Well, your work too. Look at you. I mean, you had to reinvent yourself. I mean, you
Yes.
put a lot into getting a lot of martial arts things going, a lot of programs for, what were some of the hospitals you were dealing with?
We did a City of Hope.
Yeah.
We did the Cancer Society Donate Life.
Yeah.
We did a lot of fundraising and a lot of events, and I think God was working with me on something that wasn't having anything to do with success, and it wasn't having anything to do with finances.
Right.
And at the time, I was frustrated. But I know that we spoke a couple times, and you said, "Be faithful, be faithful." And same thing with this show. I'm being faithful and stepping out in faith because this is not my forte. This is not
No.
where I feel most comfortable. in.
Right, right.
But I've learned through my program, through my recovery process, that I sometimes just have to suit up and show up. And if I do that, God will do the rest. If I'm
Yeah.
faithful.
Yeah, he will.
And He has. So many people came on board to get this production
And
together.
I can't believe it. All the people
all
that,
the people that came
yeah.
on board. I remember when I first was presented with this radio show, I said, "No way, not me." I go, "But just set up the meeting." As Deborah Hayter, a publicist,
Yeah,
one of my
she's great,
publicists,
great
she's
lady.
amazing
Yeah, really neat.
and really good-hearted. She said, "Would you like me to set up a meeting?" I said, "Yeah, set up a meeting." Okay, I went. They gave me all the details and the financial part, and I was like, "Wow, can I even afford it?" And I mentioned it to one of my good Christian brother named Larry Lorenzo. We were
Right.
having coffee.
Larry's a good guy. Really
And he said, "You know
good.
what?" He's like, "I'll help you finance it for the next 6 months, at least so much." He's like, "Don't worry about it. Go out and do this." He gave me the confidence. He believed in me when I
Right.
wasn't even believing in myself.
Right.
And then Tom Gabriel, who's here in the
Yeah,
studio,
Tom is here, and
Tom also said,
Paul.
"I'll contribute.
Yeah,
Let's get this on the road. Let's get this show on the road."
that's right.
And it made me feel like, wow, this is something that is a possibility, but not through my efforts,
That's right.
but through God's hand in it. Anything is possible.
it is. It
and
is.
it really gave me the confidence that He's watching out for me.
And
And
how
as long as I'm faithful, He'll watch out for me. He'll take care of me.
and this is about him. It's all about him.
It
That's
definitely
what it
is.
It's all about him and how he does it and how he brought Paul into your life.
I mean,
you know?
at the end, I have a slew of people that I need to thank just for
Yeah.
even coming on board and just,
Yeah,
I mean, even just people just praying today.
that's
I
right.
got a few text messages even from Kathy Taylor says, I'm praying for you for the show
that's so
today.
cool.
She comes out on the 25th, and
I'm just excited how he's bringing the people that are willing to come on.
Right.
You know, just people who are willing to come and give of their time and give of their experiences. And there's some really dynamite people that are going to be sharing how God has turned their situations around. You know, so
Well, I mean, but the story is same for you. I think it's very powerful, your story. I know that you also have a book out.
yeah, we're going to talk more about that soon.
Yeah, we're doing a two-part series on Lolita. So today we're really just gonna focus on her music and her first album entitled Lolita. So right now we're gonna go into a break, and please come back on latalklive.com, and we're gonna play one of her songs off her debut album entitled Lolita.
When you're burden heavy laden, invite him in, invite him in. When you've spent your last dime and lost your best friend, invite him in. When the road you're traveling on has led you to a dead end, when you tried everything else, tired of doing it by yourself, invite Christ in.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Miss Margot Hudson and the hottest new love and relationship radio show.
Destination Love Life, where love and wellness come together as one.
Every Monday at 10 a.m.
Join us as we give the latest in love advice,
Tips,
interviews,
news,
call-ins,
games,
and giveaways.
exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream. Use your Android phone, iPhone, iPad, whatever you have, prepaid, BlackBerry, let's do it.
Destination Love Life, every Monday, 10 a.m. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
And
we are more than just talk. Help, love, healing, laughter.
The Margot Hudson Way, every Monday, 10 a.m. Ooh, right in your ear hole.
Ooh, Rob, I like your brain.
I've never heard nobody say they want to suck on my intelligence.
Crazy. We'll see you there, everybody.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. And I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back to Joy in My House. And for you audience and viewers out there and listeners, feel free to call in. The studio line is 323-247-7443, or feel free to send us a tweet. We want to know, what joy do you have in your house? What does joy in your house mean to you? We would like to listen in, so call on in.
Okay, so I'm really interested to have people call in because I want to know what they're going through in this economy. I mean, it's the worst. I mean, I can't believe how much it costs to put gas in the car.
That is ridiculous.
My mother
right
was
now.
in the hospital, and my church, Bridges Church, in Long Beach, they, out of the kindness of their heart, they gave me 2 gas cards because I'll be driving from Long Beach to West LA every day, 4 times because I'm picking up my niece and then taking her home. They gave me 2 gas cards, and I got to tell you, I'm almost all the way through them, and it was over $100. I can't believe how expensive things are.
Yeah, things are just getting a little out of control at this moment.
They really are.
But I think if you're not grounded, that's able to take you away. That's able to really hit you harder than if you were grounded in Christ, in your church, grounded in who you are, like that peace that we're talking about.
Right.
I think it's a necessity for us as human beings to survive and to have that relationship in order for us to be able to take those storms. Because I
Yeah.
think back in my days, if any little thing happened, it was the end.
We got a caller.
It looks like we got a caller. Welcome to Join My House. What is your name and what city are you calling from?
Oh, Jessica from Miami.
Jessica, how are you doing today?
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, I'm pretty pissed off about the gas prices. In Miami, it's almost like $5 a gallon.
You gotta be
my
kidding.
gosh. And how are you coping with that? What are you doing are you taking public transportation? Are you walking more? What are you doing to try and adjust to the prices?
Oh, I'm definitely walking more, trying to get in shape. But a girl's got to work, so
That's right.
I got to do what I got to do to put food on the table for my family. So I got to work, and I got to spend most of my paycheck on gas.
I know what you mean. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids.
Okay, wow. So you know what it's like to go through hard times. Has it been really hard? A lot more so, even just in all realms of emotions and dealing with the
Of
kids
course.
too? Yeah.
I remember when it was 99 cents to fill up your tank.
I know. I have a Toyota Echo, and it cost me $12. Now it's something like almost 40. It is. It's crazy. It can really steal your peace. It can.
It can. Well, I wanted to say hi, and we're representing out here in Miami.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for calling in. Make sure you still tune in. We're going to do a second part series on Lolita, and we're going to play some of her music as well. So thank you for calling in.
I love all the shows over there. I love that one show. It's called Starcam.
Oh,
Okay.
Starcam
Oh,
with
yeah.
Jen. Yes. She's a lot of fun. Well, keep tuning in. I hope that we continue putting on shows that you enjoy.
And keep walking. I bet you look good, girl. I bet you look good.
Oh yeah, bye.
Bye. That's a good way of. Now, you know what? She just gave a perfect Join My House. All right. If you can't walk, if you can't drive, walk. You look better. I mean, it sounds crazy, but you got to do what you got to do in life.
That's right.
You really do.
That's right.
You really do. So that's the kind of neat thing, people calling in and just sharing what they're going through and how they're finding little ways to get through. I mean, what did you do when things didn't go right, when you thought you were going to be working
difficult.
with this martial arts studio and it didn't go through?
Yeah, I was working for this studio and really putting in my time and effort into it, and really just kind of letting go of everything else. I mean, it took its toll.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, you got to redefine yourself, and you got to be grounded enough to where you can get up. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times you take a hard hit and you can't get up. You can't get up. You don't want to get up.
You don't want to get up. That's the truth. Woo.
And that desire is what was sometimes taken away from me.
Mhm.
The wanting to get up. I
Right.
would just throw my hands up in the air and say, I give up. I apply for this position. I'm qualified for this position.
That's right.
But I get no callbacks, no interviews. But God is faithful.
Yeah.
God is faithful. Excuse me.
Yeah, he does all kinds of stuff. Like this here, we've been sending out packet, and for about 2 years we were able to speak and do a lot of speaking events. Well, it's been really great. He's been, people thought it was so funny how we started working together. I mean, when I started talking to you about your relationships and getting yourself right with Christ and getting these relationships straightened out and dealing with your children and with your family, you are also a go-getter. Because I needed someone who would be able to knock on doors and send the packet out and talk, because I don't like to do that. And so people are like, how do you have a martial artist as your...
Well, I don't mind knocking on doors,
I
rejection
know.
and all that. I'm okay with it. But I don't like being in front of the camera.
Okay,
That's
well, here you
one
are.
thing. That's one thing that I'm most uncomfortable with. I don't like to be the face. But I think it's also because then it holds me a lot more accountable.
Yeah, it does.
And it's a tough spot to be in.
It is.
But it's a work in progress. What I say I do, and what I do I say, and I gotta walk that line,
Yeah.
which I think is what God is working with me on.
Well, he's taking this and turning it around for us. That's what my whole point was. I was saying that even though we were talking and I was speaking and doing things, then he closed it up, and now here we are right here. So we don't know what his plan was in all this. And even the people that have come on board, these are people we met like years ago.
Yeah.
Relationships that
Relationships
have
have been
been
fostering.
even in the midst of when things seem bad and things seem like they're negative and you don't know where you're going. He has a plan. He has a plan. That's what Joy in My House is about. So I hope more callers call in and tell us what's going on with them and how they've been able to find some peace and joy in their experiences. And sometimes it doesn't feel like joy. You know, I didn't feel like I was, you know, clicking my heels in Kansas, as they say. But there was a sense of that everything was going to be okay, that everything was going to be all right. You know. And look at you, you're a real good dad. You know.
Thank you. You know,
Yeah.
I make an effort, and I love my children.
Yeah.
My eldest is 14. She's in high school, and she had some struggles as well.
Yeah, we
And
want
I
to
know
keep
that-
her anonymous, but yeah, share just.
I
a
know
little
that
bit,
when
yeah.
I gave my testimony for the first time,
Mhm.
she was my plus one. She came and supported me
Right.
in giving my testimony. She kind of asked me if she wanted to go with me. At 14 years old, she wanted to
That's
be
pretty
there.
good because they usually don't want to be.
Right, usually they don't want to.
Yeah.
But my daughter didn't. She wanted to be there, so she was in the seats.
Mhm.
And I gave my testimony, and I pointed right at her and I said, you know, that's inspiration for me
Mhm.
right there. That she is willing to come out here and at least listen. And I
Right.
told her, you're hearing my testimony, some of the deepest, darkest secrets in my life, and yet you're still here, proud of me
Right.
because of the grace of God. And I told her, God can turn anything around, even her struggles, her dependencies.
Yeah, but she had to see it coming from you. She had to see you doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
And I think a lot of people, maybe during this time, for me, during that time period, I got to get closer to my kids and realize what was important. Relationships are so important. You know, sometimes we put a lot of things in, I think a lot of people in their jobs and having a lot of accolades, but now that things are calming down, I think people are having to get back to the simpler things of life. And that
And
was
the-
important with your kids.
I think it was, and those are some of the more important things.
Right.
At least I feel. The relationship that I have with my daughter now is amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing, you know, and she turned herself around, and I hope that I was an inspiration to her because she was an inspiration to me. The way she started working out on her own,
Right.
started her dance class. She went to auditions to be a part of a dance crew when she was just doing dance for 2 weeks.
Wow. How'd she do?
Well, she didn't make it, but she went out there.
She went out there
and
and did it.
you know what she
Yeah.
said? She's like, what do I got to lose?
Right.
At 14 years old, I would have said, forget that. I got a lot to lose.
No,
You know,
really.
my pride, but no, she went out there and she gave it a good run, and then she went back and did it again. And she said, I just want it for the experience.
Right.
How mature of her.
That is very mature. That's very mature.
And again, I'm still learning from her.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I always say, you know, I'm a martial arts instructor, but I'm a student first.
That's right.
I always have to be taught and have to be guided. I never want to get to a place where I feel like, oh, I know it all.
Yeah.
Or get to a place where I say, no, it's my way or the highway. No, it doesn't work that way for me. My children are still teaching me from my youngest 6-year-old to my eldest 14-year-old. I got to be able to, again, like we talk about joy in my house, I got to be able to appreciate those little bits and pieces of joy.
Well, it goes fast because my sons are grown. My youngest one just graduated.
That's right, Seth.
Seth just graduated. That's right.
Seth was my student.
Yeah, he was like, what, 11 when he came, and now he's 18.
It's amazing.
He's 6'4". I mean, it goes really fast. But it is important. I mean, like I said, I look back on, I did have quite an extensive career in the secular. I was in Vegas. I did Tahoe. I've been overseas. I've done a lot of stuff. But now the things I'm more proud about is the relationships. That when God called me out of the business to get help, I went to get counseling for many years for myself and my boys. I got to see God heal a lot of the relationships in my life with my family, my mom. My sons they're still trying to find their way. They didn't have an easy time, but that's the most important thing. I hope that if we can tell anybody out there today, even if you don't have a lot of money and you're not driving a fancy car, if your relationships are there and your family's there, it's so important because people aren't going to be there all the time.
I agree. And your children are college grads.
Yeah, they are.
And they're good kids. I mean, I met them a while ago, but man,
Right.
they were just good kids.
Yeah.
They were just.
But they're still
because of the
they've
work
had to deal-
because of the work that you've done in their lives.
They're still
You
dealing
better-
with their stuff. They haven't totally arrived, but that's true. It is true. And like you talked earlier. I mean, you put a bomb out there. You talked about how, hey, you can't just skirt over that. You talked about how you had a girlfriend and you had another girl pregnant.
Yeah. And those
How
rela-
did God work in
you
that
know,
to resolve, to
Ta-
bring
you're
healing?
talking about relationships. He really healed a lot of my relationships.
Yeah.
He healed my relationship with the mother of my 2 older kids,
Mhm.
and is working on my relationship currently right now with the mother of my youngest daughter. Wow, never would I think that those women, the way I behaved,
Mhm.
would they ever give me the time of day or respect me. And now they're taking the time to listen to me.
Mhm.
I'm creating a relationship and a rapport with them, and they trust me now.
Did you have to go back and make amends and
Oh,
stuff?
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. The amends process is very important
Mhm.
for my recovery.
Mhm.
And look how God has touched them now, and is now letting them know, look what I'm doing.
Right.
Now they're able to come to me with situations that are going on with my kids. Or before, maybe if something happened with my daughter or my child, they
Mhm.
probably would never call me.
That's right.
But now I'm the first one they call. Oh, this is going on with so and so. What do you think? Let's talk about it. Or before, I might have not even been put in the equation.
That's right.
So it's very powerful what God's able to do, especially in my relationships.
Right. Right.
And my parents too, my mother and my father, who are
Yeah,
in the
they are
studio
here.
as well.
That's so cool. I'm gonna bring my folks next week. I was laughing at Van. I'm gonna call him on in a minute. I want to hear what joy in his house be. Okay.
But the relationships now are so much stronger. There's so much more trust and respect, which is what I always wanted anyways.
Right.
But I was just going about it all wrong.
That's right.
I wanted all this validation without doing anything for it.
That's right.
And it doesn't work that way. You got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, and you got to find programs out there that are going to help you to ground you.
That's right.
I think it's very important. We talk about relationship. You can't do this yourself.
No, you cannot.
I think God put us on this earth for relationships, for us to engage with one another and learn from one another and to support one another, to love one another, and without relationships, you isolate yourself.
Yeah, you do. You do. You really do.
You're going to be unhappy.
But I do. I want to ask Van what he thinks. I was talking to him earlier. I wanted to incorporate.
Van is
bring
our
him in.
producer here.
Yes, he is.
He does all the hard work. We just take all the credit here.
Yeah, I wanted to see what he thinks about. We're just getting different perspectives as we're waiting for callers to call in and tell us what's going on with them. What's joy in your house mean to you, Van? What we've been talking about.
Well, thank you once again for allowing me to join into your discussion. Joy in my house means to me peace of mind, where the world's trials and tribulations I'm able to deal with accordingly and not let it affect me emotionally,
right.
mentally, and physically, so that when I have to deal with being a parent, I'm able to set an example to my daughter, who I had the opportunity, by the grace of God, to be awarded full custody of my daughter.
Wow.
When she was 5 years old.
Wow, single dad. That's something.
So, by the grace of God, because I have 5 sisters. I grew up with 3 of the 5. Me being the oldest, and coming from a single parent home, my mom.
Wow.
At the age of 10, she was like, "You gotta help mom out." So she taught me how to cook, clean, wash, do hair.
Wow, what a role.
You know what I mean? Play jacks, jump rope.
Man, you know.
You know what I mean? And things like that. And because I was into the rock and roll thing, so painting my fingernails, when the Lord blessed me with a child, and it happened to be a girl, so I have women in my life until the day I die.
You can really talk about finding joy.
Yes. So let my daughter paint my fingernails and all that. I was all right. I didn't think about, oh, that's going to mess with my masculinity or anything like that. But it helped her become the young lady that she is today.
That's so cool. How old is she now?
She's 21 now.
All right.
She's 21 now.
Okay.
And at the age of 5, I taught her that boys walk on the outside, girls walk on the inside.
Okay.
To a point where I would deliberately walk out of a building and be on the wrong side, and she'll say, "Daddy, you're on the wrong side."
Okay. All right. You training her well.
Exactly. So, and it's all by the grace of God. And that's joy. That's what brings joy to my life.
And I'm sure it wasn't easy.
No. And he has showed me that he's real on many occasions. In the process of getting full custody of my daughter, being from Pennsylvania, and at the time she was born when I was living in a small town by the name of Coatesville.
Oh, okay.
And I was front desk clerk at this Comfort Inn. It was a blizzard, and it was time for me for my hourly visit. Now I knew it was no way, humanly way, I would get there on time, but I was able to get a ride in this blizzard like halfway. I'm the only fool
good for you.
walking in this snowstorm
to get your baby.
Yeah, and God sent this white guy. And I say it like that because he'll send people no matter what they look like and who they are.
Well, look at us here. That's right.
And he was the only car in this area. And he actually stopped me and said, "Where you going?" I said, I told him where I was going.
Mm-hmm.
And he took me to the front door. And don't you know, everybody that was supposed to be there for this visit was there. So my point is, if I could have easily said, "Nah, man, look, it's snowing out there and I'm not going." And then the next day, I would have got that call like, "What happened to you?"
Okay. All right.
So,
okay.
That's what joy in my house is.
That's it.
Wow.
Thank you, Van. That's
Thank
really
you,
cool.
man.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really good. I mean, it's just good to have these different experiences.
Yeah, and I think raising children, you're going to have your trials and tribulations, but there's a lot of joy in it too. There's a lot of reward and that validation that as men, I think personally, we look for, the respect and the admiration. It's mostly found through our kids if we just devote our time to them.
Well, I'm really impressed listening to you two men share about this. I mean, really, because so many times men get the short end of the stick that you're out there, you don't care about your kids, and you're just running the streets. And I'm listening to two men here that have the privilege to hear how you have put your children first, and how especially your daughters are going to really reap the benefit of that.
Oh, yeah. I'm a strong believer that
your daughters can,
girls
mm-hmm.
growing up, the male image they have in their life reflects on how they look at men in their adult life.
That's right.
Not all of them, but some of them, as far as being in what they consider a healthy relationship, and what they may consider a healthy relationship is an abusive relationship, whether it's mentally, physically, or emotionally.
Right.
But they think that's healthy for them because that's what they see.
That's right.
That's what they saw. That's what they was in their environment consist of. And I wouldn't put my daughter through anything like that. I would put her on timeout, and then but when I had a bad day, I said, "Well, Daddy's having a bad day. I think he needs a timeout."
Okay.
And I would sit not in the same chair because
the same
because that was a little bit too small for Daddy. But I would get a chair and I would sit in that same corner. I would make her sit in, and my point is, so that when I did explain to her that she made a mistake and she needs to be responsible for it, she'd be like, "Okay, well, this is the thing to do because I see this. When people make mistakes, they have to be accountable for it."
That's right. That's what I was asking you about making amends, being accountable for your own stuff. Very true.
And a lot of times, people are going to do things against you, and you still have to stand fast on the right thing to do no matter what anybody else does. And sometimes you'll apologize when you know they owe you an apology.
Right.
But you got to keep your side of the street clean. That accountability is so important in your growth, in maturity, I think, just in general.
Right.
For you to be able to know when you made a mistake, admit that you made a mistake, and, say you're sorry. Even though the other person might never say it, you got to be willing to be accountable for your action, for your part in it. And I think a lot of times as a young person, we run from responsibility. It's the last thing we want. But I think once you start accepting responsibility, I think you start accepting what I consider maturity. I think it's very important.
And then your kids are more willing to listen because they know you're not perfect. And then when they see that you are willing to look at your stuff and admit that you don't have it all together, then that's when I think you're a good role model. That's what I wanted to be for my boys. They saw me in some really horrific times and places doing some really crazy stuff. But I could say I was sorry, and they could see me trying and getting myself together. And so they're willing to kind of follow suit. We're not perfect. Only God is.
And you spoke about that. I remember listening to you at the luncheon for Friendship Baptist Church when you're speaking on credibility. I think it really touched me. How in order to be credible, you got to go through things.
Yeah.
That you can't just speak in theory. I think a lot of people speak in theory. Well, I heard this, or so and so told me this. But when you go through something and you speak on it, you're a witness to that.
Yeah, you are. It was interesting because I mentioned earlier that my husband died and my brother died, and in that process you end up reading things that you wouldn't normally have read. I ended up going down a road that I didn't want to go, but I was open to more experiences in life, to be educated in other people's trials. And I listened to a radio talk show host who I won't, don't have the permission to use his name, but he's always talking about this man called Viktor Frankl, who was he was in Auschwitz in 4 different concentration camps. And at the very beginning of the book, it talked about how he was credible, worthy. And I thought about that because of what he had gone through. You're right. We become credible when we go through things and we come out on the other side. And most of us, like you said, we want to tell people stuff, but unless you've gone through it and found the wisdom and the training in it, then really it's not, I guess it's kind of like earning your stripes. It's like earning your stripes.
I believe that. I think
like earning black belts.
That's right.
I can want one. I can, aspire to do it. But unless I go through what it takes to get a black belt, and it's the same thing in recovery.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's the same thing in recovery. You got to go through the process. And you can read all the books you want. It's going to take time, and it's a process. It's not an overnight thing.
No, it's not.
Because I know that I'm on my 3rd step study in my recovery. And I'm still learning new things. I'm still learning things that are different that I never thought I'd even touch on. Wow. So I'm still learning. It's still a process. The process didn't end. I did not arrive.
No.
It's just going deeper now.
Oh, wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, maybe after I don't know if we're going to take a break soon or not, but when we come back, we can
once
share
again,
more.
Let's get some listeners to call in and tell us what joy in my house means to you. And how do you find joy in just of the smallest things in your life and what you're going through? Because right now with economic hardships and just everything being so much more difficult now, how do you find that joy in your house? Give us a call at 323-247-7443, or you can tweet us at twitter.com/LA Talk Live. And we'll be right back.
My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new, but there is joy in my house. I've got joy in my house. There is joy in my house. There is joy in my house. People think I'm crazy, 'cause I'm not caught up in the daily news. I could care less who's in the who's who. I ain't in Hawaii or swimming in Cancun. There's joy in
Hey everybody, this is Richard Carr inviting you to join me in the radio boardroom for the new Entrepreneurs Weekly Summit in my all-new day and time. That's right, the new Entrepreneurs Weekly Summit is moving to Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific. So don't forget, the new Entrepreneurs Weekly Summit, now Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific, exclusively here on LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk. We'll see you there.
Yeah, it's your boy DJ Deezy, inviting you to join me every Monday night at 8 p.m. for our new show, Keeping It Real with the Cousins, exclusively on LA Talk Live, Monday nights at 8. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio or watch us on Ustream TV Monday nights at 8. Reality Radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, are you spending your time or are you wasting your time? Well, kill some time hanging out with Michael Collier, Brooks Jackson, and the whole crew at the Michael Collier Morning Show. I Get Up Late. That's every Tuesday, 3 until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you don't know what that is, you better get on the internet and look it up. And while you're there, go to latalklive.com and check me out.
welcome back to Join My House. I just want to thank you guys all for joining us this evening on the premiere show of Join My House. Join My House is an inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery.
That's right.
We have a special guest here. If you're just listening in, Lolita Robinson Coppage. She is an author, a contemporary Christian artist, and a speaker. Today we're going to talk about a little bit before we leave today on her book, Shaped by the Master's Hands, The Many Way God Mends Broken People. Lolita, now you have this book out.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into it, where can they find you? Where can they find about your ministry? Where can they find your CD, your book?
Thanks for giving me that little plug. LRCministries.com. You'll find about my bio, what I'm all about, and how you can get the CDs and the book. And I know we'll share more about it.
So we're doing a 2-part series on Lolita Robinson here. So please feel free to look her up on Facebook, Lolita Robinson Coppage. You can also find her book and her CD. Next week we're going to be talking about her new album, Changes, on LRCministries.com. But Lolita, what do you mean the many way God mends broken people?
Well, so many times when you come from the church, and I wasn't raised in the church. I mean, my grandmother took me when I was a little girl, but I didn't really come to know Christ until I was 19. My family had gotten into the occult. My grandmother was a very educational woman. She liked to learn about all kinds of cultures, so we started learning about ESP and the occult and reading palms and that kind of stuff. And through circumstances, my mother got a divorce, and someone ministered Christ to her. And that's how I came to know Christ. But there was all this stuff in my past I'm an incest survivor. And there was, like I said, alcoholism in my family and a lot of brokenness and depression and things. And people seem to think that when you receive Christ that all those things go away. Yeah, you're new in Christ. You have a new beginning. You have the slate is washed clean with snow of his blood. But there are still emotional things that need to be taken care of. And so the Lord used therapy for me and the Christian 12-step programs for me to recover. And some people didn't understand that because they figured, well, if you had the Bible and you knew your position in Christ, that's all you need. It is all you need to be a spiritual person and to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And God is all we need, but he does use other avenues. So I wrote and talked about my experience of having to have therapy and the trials and the years that it took for God to restore my life. So that's what it's about.
So this really coincides with your album entitled Lolita,
yeah,
your first album.
Right.
Because a lot of the music here, Joy in My House, Give It All Back.
Right.
Invite Him In.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Invite him in, when you lost your friends, your last dime, when you get tired of doing it yourself, invite him in. Because for myself, I don't know about you, I don't know about some of the other people, but I was very independent. It was very hard for me to accept help from other people. It was very hard for me to allow other people to know that I needed help. So I pretty much ran my own show. So when I got to the bottom of my own stuff and lost friends and didn't have money, like Join My House, it was time to invite him in to see what God could do. How about with you?
No, I believe that. I actually had to let go of a lot of my friends, and I secluded myself in my recovery, especially in the beginning stages of my recovery. I just thought I'll read the book and I'll do the work.
Right.
But that wasn't it. I had to associate myself with other people in recovery to hear their stories, to relate to them. So now my circle of friends is a little different. I miss my older friends because they were good friends to me.
Right.
But the circle of friends now are friends that are really stable.
Yeah, but do you
admire them?
But do you find yourself letting the Lord in more too?
Oh yes. Well, I think that was a process of letting the Lord in.
Right.
Letting a new group of people that maybe in the beginning I wasn't comfortable with.
Good point.
That now I'm letting God work those relationships.
Right.
And now building rapport with them and fostering them, I get to do things like this.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how he works. It's amazing how he works. Well, next week, we're going to feature Lolita, and we're going to go deeper into her book, Shaped by the Master's Hands, The Many Way God Mends Broken People. And we're really going to talk about what I'm really excited about is your new album, Changes.
That's right.
Changes. I'm excited about this. So visit her at lrcministries.com to purchase her first album entitled Lolita, her book, and her CD. Find her on Facebook /Lolita Robinson Coppage. And you can also find her on our website, which is Joy in My House, on Facebook, Joy in My House, Twitter, /Joy in My House, or just come on latalklive.com and click on show and you'll know all about us. You guys, I am so excited to have had you. Thank you so much.
And you did a really good job.
I want to give thanks to my special guest, Lolita Robinson, ladies and gentlemen.
I had a good time.
I also want to give thanks to all of those who contributed to make this show possible. I wrote this down because I did not want to forget them. Larry Lorenzo, Tom Gabriel, Patrick Edgington, Dr. Reverend Linda Long. I want to thank to all my supporters, Paul, who's here in the studio today, who is has been a blessing to us. Tom Gabriel, Lolita Robinson, Larry Lorenzo. And I want to give special thanks to my mother and my father, who always encouraged me and supported me to follow my dreams. Without them, I would not be here today. We will see you next Sunday. I do want to thank Van, our producer here. If it wasn't for him, this show would not even work.
That's right.
Special thanks to all of you out there as well, the viewers and the listeners. Follow us. Keep following us on Twitter, on Facebook, or on LA Talk Live. We're looking forward to seeing you next Sunday at noon for the 2-part series on Lolita. We'll be premiering her new album, Changes. Don't forget to just like us on Facebook.
And call in.
You guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys for sharing this just amazing time and opportunity
And thank you, Joel, for having me. Love it.
Love it. Can't wait till next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you. Have a great day. God bless.
From the biggest to the small, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, that is all. In His presence I feel as special as a pearl. Illumination of my eyes, cause He lights my whole world. He lights my whole world. I know inside your brain you can't maintain, but you gotta hold on so you can make it through the rain. You're burdened with tears and up to your ears in strife.